Hey guys, welcome back to ABCOAN. I'm Carrie.
Michaela.
All right, guys, so we are doing the 8 Clairs.
I don't know what that was.
I'm so not stopping that. The 8 Clairs, the 4 main Clairs Michaela talked about on TikTok, so hopefully you guys briefly went on there. The truth is, it's that everybody has some psychic ability. We know this. We've been talking about this for weeks now, right? But that psychic ability might be trapped under heavy expectations of what it looks like,
Yes.
what a psychic ability should feel or look like. And most people think that having a psychic ability is bigger than it actually is, and that's kind of the downfall. All right. Everybody has a natural intuitive ability, and we have a natural guidance system. It's not whether you have it, it's whether you're using it, whether you've identified it or not, right?
Absolutely.
We have 2 to 3 Clairs that are main Clairs, but we have access to all the Clairs, and most of us have salt and pepper of each of the Clairs, right? Abilities are things that come through from each of the Clairs. You just have stronger Clairs.
You just
in
gotta
each.
know to listen to yourself.
So now, because there are 8, Michaela and I decided we are going to read off some of them and some of the lesser known abilities or qualities, just because we don't want to miss anything.
Absolutely.
So, and this
because there's a lot.
There's 8.
I certainly can't remember all that.
Yeah, if we're just doing our 4, it'd be easy. Okay, we're going to start with clairvoyance. This is the sense, sight, vision, psychic, sight. And it is also the most well-known, you guys. Okay, but it is the least common out of all of them. So, even though there's lots of professional psychics who have this, but it's not their dominant clair, so they don't use it as much. If you're clairvoyant, you may have had vivid psychic dreams where you've seen premonitions, like scenes from the future that have come true, or dead relatives that have come visit you. Blah, blah, blah. That came out weird.
Just like me at the beginning.
Right? It's like a projector screen that gets kind of pulled down in front of you, and it plays a movie of past or future, either out of the blue when you're fully awake or during meditation even. And that's how they see. You see things with clairvoyance, either internally or externally, and sometimes what you're seeing may appear as though it's in front of you, outside of your body, whereas other times it could be inside your mind. When it's inside your mind, it makes it easier to pass off as intuition, unfortunately, which a lot of people do, until you find out later that it was a psychic vision. We've all kind of had that, I think. I know I've had visions where I've kind of passed it off as my imagination or just kind of me guessing, I guess, guesswork. And then later it came true.
Doubt.
You know what? Here's the thing. Religion, society, gatekeeping, all of those things contribute to what we actually will believe is our abilities. And it puts up such a resistance, such a hill for us to climb. So if you're not in touch with your intuition, if you're not in touch with your abilities, or you're not seeking, you know what I mean? Or not already fully awake, it sometimes just becomes an impossible task, which is why these go under the radar so often. The next one, Clairgustance.
Clear sense of taste and able to orally detect
Psychic information. Yeah, this is... Okay, so after talking about the most well-known psychic one, this is the least known one. This psychic taste, and it really is possible for people to have psychic taste. This one, people say they can taste like metallic taste or like blood.
Yeah.
They'll often get it if you're doing a reading for someone who's had like a relative that's died in a tragic car accident, or, you know, they might taste garlic when they're thinking about a grandmother that's passed because of the cooking, things she used to cook for you. You can probably tell from these experiences that this sense is most commonly used in mediumship and connection with spirit rather than fortune telling. Okay, so then we'll move on to the next one that's very close to this one, which is Clairsaliance. I can never say it properly. It's a clear sense of smelling, you guys, and being able to nasally detect psychic ability. This one, actually, we have a girlfriend, Miss Chris, and this is one of hers. So if you've ever caught a whiff of like your grandmother's perfume or like a tobacco smoke or something like that, a smell that's there, it's present when nobody else is there, and then it's gone. It's very distinct. It's very there, and then it's gone very quick. That is clairsaliance. All right.
Yes.
It's when no one else is in the room and there's no logical explanation as to why you're smelling that. The smells do not linger. They're there just long enough for you to notice and gone. There's one smell that comes around often when angels come.
Yes. Floral roses.
Very light smelling, and they leave the smell for you to know that they were there, and then the smell is gone. So if you smell floral, roses, light smelling stuff, you probably have a higher dimensional being, something high vibrational within the vicinity. Likewise, if you smell burning material, dark, musty stuff, things like that, things that do not smell good, my suggestion is get your white light protection on you, get the out. Period. Because those smells, whether that is one of your main clairs or not, those smells will come to you, and they come to you for a reason. It is a psychic ability. You do have it. Clairaudience. This is me. We can't do this one without laughing. Okay, this is being able to detect psychic information through the ears. Now, most people here, okay, here's a fallacy. Most people think this is hearing all the time. I have this. I do hear when, this is why we're laughing. When I first started on my journey, I had my guidance system going. I was feeling good. I was high vibing. I am an enlightened ability. I am awakened. I can. And all of a sudden, I went to my family. I'm like, the only problem is, I think I'm going deaf.
Yeah.
I have to turn up the TV. I have to wear headphones to hear things. I heard this mumbling, this murmuring all the time. And then one day I was sitting there, and I stopped, and I panicked. I freaked. I run to Michaela. I'm like, I hear voices.
Yeah. I heard one.
I was so scared. I almost shit my pants. It was, you guys, it was horrible.
funny.
It was horrible. It was so scary. Because you go from not being able to hear to all of a sudden you're hearing voices in your head. And it is jarring when you first hear them because they were talking to me. I couldn't see them. I couldn't get them out of my head. I couldn't stop it. I could push pause. I didn't know how to put up resistance so that I could kind of block them out when I didn't. I knew none of that. All I knew is all of a sudden I was hearing this shit. I went from thinking I was going deaf to hearing it. It was scary. But that's not usually what happens with clairaudience. Clairaudience is quite a popular one, and it relates to the ears. So if you've ever had your ears get hot, right? Get hot before... How do I explain this? Okay, get back to the hot thing. You've ever had your ears go hot and somebody's called, or if you've ever been sitting there and all of a sudden you think about someone and a song comes on with the lyrics perfectly timed to that person or a situation with that person, or you've thought about a person and all of a sudden a song's come on and it is a song that you've experienced with them or it relates to them perfectly. That is clairaudience, my friend. Most of us have experiences. Clairaudience is probably, well, it's one of the more common ones, I would say, out of all of them. When your ears get hot for no apparent reason, and you start hearing those things, that's clairaudience. All right.
Well, and clairaudience is also the gateway into.
Yeah, it is. Most people experience clairaudience when they're starting to experience their clairs. So they'll experience clairaudience first. They'll hear, like, they'll think of someone or they think of something, and all of a sudden, knocking on a wall will happen. Shit like that. Clairaudience, right? Ringing in the ear. Michaela likes to call it the angel ring, right?
Yeah.
You'll hear a bell or something, almost like an affirmation to something
it's
you've
like
heard.
A yes.
That's right. Strange coincidence, but that's what it is, clairaudience. Okay, claircognizance. This is a clear sense of knowing, psychic insight, all right? Now, most of us have experienced this too. Have you ever had where you just know something's going to happen without knowing why? You're probably experiencing claircognizance. The name of the psychic sense isn't widely publicized because it's accepted under other guises, like mother's intuition is huge for this one. Okay? People who aren't spiritual can even acknowledge the fact that sometimes they just know something. They don't have any outside proof of why. They have no receipts, nothing, but they just know without needing that proof. And they are just so friggin' sure that it is enough. That, my friend, is claircognizance. It's a subtle symptom of claircognizance when you'll have, you'll recognize you had past lives.
Yes.
Not know why you know it, but you know you had this past life, you lived like this, or you did this, or you lived in this place. Claircognizance.
Pretty tricky to distinguish, actually.
Yeah, well, because if your other psychic senses are turned up, but this one is amazing, and it's an amazing one for confirming what the other sides might be telling you as well.
Clairsentience.
This is Michaela's.
Yep, this is probably my strongest one, I'd say. It's clear sense of feeling, being able to detect psychic information through your body. So psychic sense is very common in everyday life, and people who would never identify as spiritual, it can still recognize or be recognized when you're having a gut feeling about something.
Yeah, it's a gut feeling is huge about it, right?
Yeah.
Doctors, investors, mothers definitely use this one because the connection, their energies tied so closely to their kids.
Yeah. Experiencing clairsentience externally is when you feel something cold or goosebumps in one part of your body. This probably means that there's a spirit nearby, or external. Clairsentience is often used by mediums.
Yeah. So clairsentience is more commonly known as that gut feeling, right? If you've ever had that feeling, that sense of dread, for example, something you can't explain, but you can also have a good feeling, that's clairsentience. Okay? So it's a feeling in your body. Very closely related to that is clairempathy. It's a clear sense of emotional feeling, being able to detect psychic information through your emotions. So it's close to that. Clairempathy isn't being another subtle psychic sense is hard to detect, okay, guys? Partially because it's easy to confuse with being an empath. A lot of people who are in tune with their spirituality and their psychic abilities identify as empaths. Mm-hmm. You're empathic. Mm-hmm. Empathy is a normal human emotion, and being an empath is being able to actually feel the emotions of other people. It affects, like I said, about 20% of the population. The vast majority of people who would call themselves spiritual identify as an empath, like I said. But clairempathy is different than this, you guys, okay? It means being able to feel emotions in advance. So, being able to feel the emotions of others when they're nowhere near you. That is clairempathy. And when you're not communicating with them. Okay? So, mediums will use this sense to channel emotions of loved lost ones. And professional psychics might tell you how you felt in childhood or how you'll feel about events in the future. It can also manifest as knowing that something is wrong with a loved one who is on the other side of the world, because you can sense their sadness or their grief, right? Can't explain it, but your energy is so closely linked with theirs that you can feel it. This one, Michaela.
Clairtangency. It's a clear sense of touch and being able to detect psychic information through your hands. So if you've ever had an antique or felt like it's had a long story, you might be experiencing clairtangency. Some psychics are able to hold an object and tell you how many hands have passed through and where it was made and when the last owner was.
This was a crazy one to have.
That would be awesome.
Here's the thing, because objects hold the energy, right?
Yeah.
And the objects themselves are also made of energy. They hold energy, and they themselves are energy. Having that in your home, if that's one of your abilities that is strong,
yes.
people with this ability will often not have older things in their home, because it's just too much for their senses, right? Because it holds all that old stuff.
Probably why freaking psychics ask you to bring objects in.
Well, because it's constantly soaking in energy.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly what they do. So psychics will ask you to bring in an object of somebody who's passed that they're trying to read for, because it holds and stores that information, that energy, so they can garner that, or they can connect to the person easier through clairtangency. It is an extremely useful one. It'd be such a cool one. Can you imagine going into a new home and just being able to put your hands on the door or the doorknobs or the light fixtures and feel who lived there before and the type of energy that was in there? You wouldn't need to sage every place you lived if a psychic lived there before. You know what I mean? Like, and cool people or a big family. It's such a cool one. It's one that not a lot of people know about, but it is such a cool one. You guys, there are so many ways of accessing the information stored in the universe. And the clairs are what we have. Those are our unique skill sets that we have to help access that information. Our psychic abilities start to open up when the time is right for them to. And we learn how to harness them through things like this, through books, workshops, courses.
Yes.
Some people will have limited psychic experiences in this lifetime because it's not necessary for the work that they're meant to do and the role that they have to play in people's lives. That's okay too. But there are many of us, those of you that are here watching this video, likely that do need to open these. When you have a calling for it or you have an interest in it, it's typically the universe saying, okay, wake up. It's time.
That's probably why you're here.
Right? So, these are some kiss ways. Keep it simple, sweetheart ways. I know, Miss Chris, I said it in my head. There are some ways of doing these things easier. These are some of the ones that you can look for. And we told you a couple things to look for them. So try applying them. Try feeling them.
Yes.
All right.
Please do.
We'll see you guys soon. Thank you for joining us. ABC your way back in.
Bye.